The cathedral smelled like lilies and old stone. Morning light slipped through stained glass and painted the floor in soft blues and reds. A string quartet warmed up in whispers. Shoes clicked. Radios murmured in a security guard's sleeve. The world moved like it was holding its breath. Emma pushed her mop along the marble aisle. Slow. Careful. Her hands were raw from hot water. Her black shoes were scuffed thin at the toes. She wore the same neat ponytail she always wore, because neatness made people feel safe about you. She worked when others slept. That was enough. Watch the peonies, Sophia, the wedding planner, called across the pews. They bruise if you look at them wrong. Got it, Emma answered. Soft voice. Quick smile. She stepped around the cloud of white flowers. The bouquet looked like a small snowdrift with a silk ribbon tied tight around its waist. The groom entered before anyone expected him. Michael. The man from the magazines. Sharp tucks. Calm eyes. He walked the aisle like he belonged to no one but himself. 2 security men kept distance. The priest nodded. The organist fell silent, then played a gentle run. A few guests whispered, "Is that him?" You could feel the air shift. He stopped when he saw Emma on her knees, polishing a stubborn spot. "Let me," he said. He crouched. Emma froze. A millionaire in a tux holding a towel? It looked wrong. But he smiled. "My mother hated streaks," he added. "She taught me how to do this." Emma let him take a quick swipe. The marble shone. "Thank you," she said. "You're the one doing the real work," Michael replied. He stood. "What's your name?" "Emma." "Emma," he repeated, like he was saving it. "You saved my aisle." A small laugh. He turned, and the whispers swelled again. He was gone as fast as he came. Sophia glided in with lists and panic. "Ribbon," she hissed. "Where's the ribbon for the bouquet?" She thrust the white peony bouquet into Emma's hands while rifling a crate. "Hold. Do not drop. Do not breathe." Emma held. The petals were cool against her wrist. The silk ribbon dug into her fingers. She could hear the quartet's bows skitter like rain. From the sacristy, voices. A woman's laugh, bright, practiced, a little sharp. Evelyn, the bride. Her perfume flooded the air, jasmine and something sweet, like a promise you couldn't trust. Sophia found the ribbon and swooped back. "Give." She tugged to tighten the knot. The bow wouldn't set. The ribbon slipped, then snagged. "Ugh. It's torn." She looked at Emma. "Fix it." Emma nodded, because nodding was her job. She stepped to the side aisle and lifted the bouquet. A thin strip of paper poked from under the silk. Not ribbon. Paper. Emma pinched it free. It was a piece of a letter, torn at the top, folded small, like it was hidden there for only one person to find. Ink bled through in neat, expensive handwriting. She lowered her eyes and read, because humans read when there are words, even when they shouldn't. After vows. Transfer moves at once. John handles details. Trust access clears at signature. Destroy this. Her stomach dropped. She looked up. The cathedral wavered for a second, like heat over a road. John. She knew the name. The best man with the polished smile. The one who had been snapping at the florist at dawn. "Use your eyes," he'd said. "Not your hands." Emma slid the slip back under the ribbon. Her hands trembled. She heard 2 laughs behind the curtain. Evelyn's. And a man's laugh that matched John's shoulders. Should she say something? Who would she be to speak? A cleaner with soap on her knuckles? Would anyone believe her over diamonds and silk? The organ swelled in a gentle test chord. Guests turned. The aisle gleamed like a river. Emma held the bouquet. Her mouth was dry. Her heart beat in quick taps, like shoes on tile. What would you do if the truth pressed itself into your palm? She eased the tear in the ribbon flat with her thumb. Then she looked toward the altar, where where the priest arranged the book and Michael stood with easy shoulders, and she whispered, to no one, to herself, "Don't be a coward." The doors at the back of the cathedral creaked as the ushers grasped the brass. Wind breathed against the wood. The first notes of the processional curled up the stone. Emma took one small step toward the aisle. Because the ribbon wasn't the only thing about to break. But when Emma peeled back the white silk again, her fingers froze on a torn line that would change everything. The world turned gold. The doors opened. A hush fell like a blanket. Evelyn appeared in a storm of white silk and veil, moving slowly, a perfect idea of a bride. Cameras lifted. Phones rose like a field of silver fish. The quartet soared. Emma stood just inside the side aisle with the bouquet pressed to her chest. The torn slip jabbed her skin. She could feel its edge like a secret trying to cut free. She tasted iron at the back of her tongue. Fear has a flavor. Places, Sophia whispered, pointing. Hand off to the maid of honor in 3, 2, now. Emma walked. Quiet steps. Her sneakers made no sound on the runner. She tried to give the bouquet to the maid of honor, a girl with diamonds in her hair and worry in her eyes. Careful, the girl snapped, snatching it. These are 500 per stem. Sorry, Emma murmured, stepping away. That word had lived in her mouth for years. She drifted back to the side, near a pillar, close enough to see faces. Michael's calm. The priest's soft smile. John at Michael's shoulder, chin high, eyes scanning in small hunter's movements. Evelyn glided. She loved the attention. You could feel it. The corner of her mouth pulled like she was in on a joke no one else knew. When the veil wavered, Emma saw two brilliant eyes, hard as they were beautiful. Who gives this woman? The priest asked, and a gray-haired man said, I do, voice rich with money and pride. Evelyn's father. Robert. His cufflinks were tiny squares of ice. Evelyn reached the altar. The organ faded. Silver light lay over everything. Dust floated like gold, slow, weightless. Dearly beloved, the priest began. His words dove into silence. Some guests leaned forward. Some guests smiled. Somewhere, a child coughed. Somewhere, a security radio crackled and then went dead. Emma's skin tingled. She hugged the pillar. She dared to breathe. Could she leave it? Speak later? Leave a note? Why make a storm when you could step around a puddle? The priest spoke of love, patience, kindness. Michael's face softened. He looked at Evelyn as if he wanted to believe. He looked at the future and saw a door he could open without force. Vows. The word struck the stone and came back soft. The priest nodded to Michael first. Michael cleared his throat. I, Michael, take you, Evelyn, he said, steady. To be my wife. To have and to hold. From this day forward. For worse, for better. For richer, for poorer. He smiled a little at that part. A gentle, private smile. In sickness and in health. To love and to cherish. Until death parts us. A breath slid across the room. People wiped at eyes. The quartet held their bows still, like arrows frozen mid-flight. Evelyn, the priest said kindly. Your turn. Evelyn's lips parted. The veil lifted with her breath. Emma watched her mouth. She watched the way Evelyn's fingers drummed once against the bouquet ribbon. Tap, tap, tap. John shifted. His jaw tightened. He looked at Evelyn like he could move her with his eyes. Evelyn, she began. Take you me. She stopped. A blink. A tiny tremble in the veil. She started again. Evelyn, take you Joe. The name broke like a glass on stone. Silence slammed down. Hard. Even the dust held still. Michael didn't move. Not one muscle. His eyes did, though. They turned slowly from Evelyn to John. The best man swallowed. You could hear it. Evelyn began, frozen. Color crawled up her throat. I mean, Michael. She tried to laugh. It dragged across the floor. The priest took a breath. It's all right, he said gently. Sometimes nerves. Emma felt her knees loosen. The torn slip in her pocket felt hot. She pressed her back against the cold pillar. The truth clawed at her throat. Her heart banged like a door in a storm. What would you do if a single wrong word lit the room like lightning? Evelyn tried again, voice thin. Evelyn, take you, Michael. But John was already looking at the floor, at his shoes, as if something there could swallow him whole. And then, as the cathedral held its breath, Emma stepped forward and opened her mouth. I'm sorry, Emma said. Her voice sounded small and loud at the same time, like a bell rung under a blanket. Heads turned. The quartet's bows skittered. A child gasped. I need to say something. Who is that? Someone whispered. A cleaner, another voice hissed. Stop her. Sophia's eyes went wide. Emma, she mouthed. Don't. Emma's feet carried her to the edge of the aisle before her mind agreed. She stood where everyone could see the cheap black shoes, the mended hem, the red mark a mop handle had stamped on her wrist. Her hands shook, but her chin stayed up. Father, Michael said quietly to the priest. Let her speak. Evelyn's laugh was short and sharp. This is insane, she said. Get her out. John's mouth was a straight line. He didn't blink. Emma swallowed. I found something, she said. She reached into the pocket she had sewn herself because cheap uniforms never had enough. She pulled out the torn slip of paper. The white silk of the bouquet had creased it into a curl. She held it up with 2 fingers. It trembled. This was hidden in your bouquet, she said to Evelyn. That isn't mine, Evelyn snapped. This is ridiculous. She's lying. Emma looked at Michael. His eyes were steady. Not cold. Not hot. Just steady, like a lake that hid a current. Read it, he said, voice quiet enough to feel like a kindness. Emma read. The words scraped her throat. After vows, transfer moves at once. John handles details. Trust access clears at signature. Destroy this. Her voice wavered on the last line. Gasps unfurled like paper fans. Cameras lifted again, but slower this time, like people afraid to be seen watching. Evelyn's smile went colder. Anyone could have written that, she said. It's nonsense. Why would I? Because it's your handwriting, Michael said, still quiet. He hadn't looked away from the paper. You write your E's like that. Loop on the top. He glanced at John's cuff. A smudge of lipstick glowed faint and shameless on the white. And because you said the wrong name. Sophia whispered, Oh God, not as a prayer, just as a truth too big for a small room. Evelyn's eyes flashed at Emma. You did this, she hissed. You planted it. You're probably being paid. Emma shook her head. No. But someone did try to pay me, she said. Every muscle in her body wanted to fold. She kept standing. This morning. In the service corridor. An envelope. She reached into her other pocket and pulled it out. Thick. Crisp. Unopened. The top bill was new enough to smell like ink. He said, Stay quiet. Keep your job. It's better for you. Who? Michael asked. The question cut clean. Emma felt her cheeks burn. John, she said. She looked down. Sir. The best man let out a small laugh that didn't reach his eyes. This is absurd, John said. She's trying to ruin your wedding. Why would she? Michael asked him, not angry, not kind. Just asking. For fun. For sport. For a job that pays her less than one of your ties. He held out his hand. Give me the envelope. Emma placed it in his palm. His fingers brushed hers. Warm. Steady. He broke the seal and fanned the bills like cards, silent, heavy, undeniable. Evelyn took a step forward. "Michael," she said sweetly, voice slipping into something she'd used all her life. "Baby, you know I love you. This is a setup. She's jealous. Or she's crazy. Or she wants." "What do you want, Emma?" Michael asked, but his eyes stayed on Evelyn. Emma realized then that she had never been asked that question by someone who could actually change a thing. She heard her own voice as if it belonged to someone braver. "Just the truth," she said. "And my job tomorrow." The priest's book lay open. The organ was silent. Dust kept floating, because dust does not care about money or vows or fear. Michael turned, finally, to face the guests, then the priest, then back to Emma. "Thank you," he said. He looked up at the grand ceiling. He closed his eyes for one long second, as if listening for a voice that had always guided him. Maybe a mother's. Maybe his own. Then he opened them. Calm. Clear. "Stop the music," he told the quartet, though they had already stopped. "There will be no wedding today." The word "no" shattered the cathedral, and it wasn't the last thing Michael would break. The murmur became a wave. Some guests stood. Some sat, stunned, hand over mouth, hand over pearls. The priest whispered a prayer that sounded like a lullaby for a child who wouldn't sleep. Sophia pressed a hand to her headset and said, "Everyone remain calm," though no one was listening to her. Evelyn went pale, then red, then almost gray. "Michael," she said, her voice thin, a string pulled too tight. "You can't. There are people. There's press outside. Think." "I am," he said. John stepped closer, shoulders angled, a small wall in a good suit. "Take 5 minutes," he murmured. "We can spin this. Say she had a panic attack. Say the cleaner is unstable. Offer her a settlement. We lock it down. After the signature, everything's fine." There was that word again. Signature. It crawled over the floor like an insect. Michael looked at Emma. "Come with me," he said. "Sophia, Robert, you too." He nodded toward a side door off the altar. Stone. Thick. Quiet behind it. They slipped into the sacristy. The sound from the cathedral became a muffled storm locked outside a window. A clock ticked. The lilies in here were too strong, too sweet. A single candle burned, fat with wax tears. Robert, the gray-haired man with the ice cufflinks, closed the door. Up close, the lines on his face were kinder. "I'm his attorney," he said to Emma. "And his godfather." He looked at Michael. "Are you certain?" Michael didn't answer. He looked at Emma instead. "Tell me everything," he said. Emma told him. In short sentences. Because in moments like this, long sentences are cowardly. "The ribbon was torn," she said. "I saw the paper." "The handwriting?" Robert asked. Emma nodded. "It looks like hers." "The E's." Michael exhaled. "I noticed the E's the first time she wrote me a note," he said softly. "They look like fishhooks." "In the corridor," Emma continued, "John offered me money. He said it was for tips. He said, 'You are invisible, stay that way.'" He smiled like a knife. Robert opened a leather folder. "We've had worries," he said. "Small ones. Unexplained changes in schedules. Calls from odd numbers. But love makes clever men soft." He didn't say who he meant. "Why did you speak?" Michael asked, eyes on Emma. It was not a challenge. It was curiosity nailed to respect. Emma stared at the candle. "Because your mother taught you to wipe marble. Because you said my name like it mattered. Because when Evelyn said the wrong name, I didn't want your face to look like that forever." She swallowed. "And because I know what it feels like when the rich use the quiet of the poor as cover." Silence. A sacred one. The kind that belongs to truth. Robert nodded slowly, like a judge under an old tree. "What do you need if this blows up?" he asked Emma. "My job," she said. and for no one to shout at Sophia. She didn't know. Sophia's eyes filled. She nodded fast. I really didn't. A knock. Sharp. John's voice through the door. Michael. You're making a mistake. You have investors in that room. The cameras are outside. Your board will. We'll handle the board, Robert said, voice iron. Another voice slithered through the keyhole. Evelyn. Baby, she sang. You're scared. That's all. That girl is nothing. She's dirt on your shoe. Michael's jaw tightened. I grew up with dirt on my shoes, he said, loud enough to be heard. It taught me to walk. Emma felt something warm at the corner of her eye, and blinked it away. She remembered a night long ago when her mother had a fever and no money, and a stranger from a factory had left a bag at their door. Eggs, medicine, 2 oranges. The bag had a sticker with a logo she now recognized. A small M. She never forgot the taste of those oranges. Robert flicked his eyes at Michael. We can call compliance, he said. Pull the emails. The prenup draft. The trust paperwork Evelyn pushed to change last week. We can also ask security for corridor footage. Do it, Michael said. And her. Robert tilted his head at Emma. She took a risk for you. Michael turned. His face, which had been made of stone and restraint, softened at the edges. Emma, he said gently, if I asked you to stand with me a little longer, would you? Emma looked down at her hands. The mop calluses looked like little maps. Yes, she said. A key turned in the lock behind them, slow, deliberate, and when the door opened, it wasn't a friend standing there. John stood in the doorway like a shadow that had learned to speak. Behind him, 2 security men hovered, unsure which way to lean. Evelyn's veil trembled at his shoulder like a white flag that hated itself. We're done here, John said, stepping inside. Michael, you're rattled. Annulment later if needed. Smile now. Sign now. No, Michael said simply. He turned to the guards. Please escort Miss Evelyn and Mr. John to the east anteroom. They are not to leave the building until Robert says so. John laughed, but his teeth didn't. On what grounds? Attempted fraud, Robert replied, holding up his phone. And perhaps conspiracy. We'll see what the footage says. And the bank. He tilted the screen. Compliance already flagged 2 test wires to a shell this week. Timestamps are unflattering. Evelyn took a quick step toward Michael. You ruined this, she hissed at Emma instead. You think he'll thank you? He'll throw you back where he found you. Michael moved between them without thinking. No one talks to her, he said, quiet but not soft. Like that again. He looked at Emma, then at the guards. Help them wait, he added. His eyes said what his words didn't. Your power ends at her dignity. The guards guided Evelyn and John away. The door shut. The room exhaled. Robert, Michael said, prepare a statement. Short. True. The wedding is cancelled pending serious personal concerns. Please leave with respect. Add that anyone who harasses staff will be banned from our properties for life. Robert's mouth twitched. Gladly. He left, already typing. Sophia hovered, wringing her list into a rope. What do I do with 500 peonies? She whispered. Give them to the kitchen staff, Michael said. And the cleaners. He glanced at Emma. They're the ones who make the world ready for love. Emma tried not to smile and failed. They stepped back into the cathedral together. The hush met them like snow. Michael walked to the microphone by the first pew. He didn't look bigger. He looked truer. Thank you for coming, he said. The sound carried. I'm sorry. There won't be a wedding today. A ripple. He let it pass. Please be kind to each other as you leave. Especially to the people working here. They kept us safe. It was the first time anyone had said the word safe out loud. As guests drifted away, some faces hard, some soft, a woman in a navy dress squeezed Emma's hand. Brave, she whispered. A young server brushed a tear away with the heel of her hand and smiled. A security guard stared at his shoes like he'd feel things if he looked up. Outside, the press clicked like insects. Robert faced them so Michael didn't have to. The sky had turned a clear, endless blue, the kind that makes you believe in new things. In the emptying church, Michael stood with Emma in the aisle she had polished. The white runner was still perfect. Petals scattered like little moons around their shoes. I don't know how to thank you, he said. Money isn't enough. Emma shook her head. I don't want money, she said. She hesitated. I just wanted to do the right thing once and not be punished for it. Michael nodded, as if he had been waiting to be allowed to do this. Then let me do something that will last longer than flowers, he said. What's your dream, Emma? She almost laughed. Dreams were luxuries you kept in shoeboxes under beds. A little night school, she said finally. Accounting. I'm good with numbers. They don't lie if you don't tell them to. Michael's eyes warmed. Perfect, he said. We have apprenticeships. Paid. Classes included. No strings. He lifted a hand, then let it fall, gentleman more than boss. If you want it, it's yours. And even if you don't, your job here is safe. With a raise. Effective now. Emma covered her mouth with her hand because sometimes joy tries to run and you have to catch it. Are you sure? I am, he said. Today taught me that quiet people keep the world honest. He glanced at the altar. My mother used to say, listen to the ones who clean up after you. They see what you leave behind. I didn't listen soon enough. They stood in a soft silence. Not the heavy kind. The kind that feels like a held breath before a laugh, or a hand reaching for yours in the dark. Sophia reappeared with a cardboard box. Peonies, she offered, shy. Emma took one. White as a secret. She turned it in her fingers, the stem cool, the petals warm from the room. She tucked it behind her ear and felt silly, then beautiful. Outside, a siren wailed and faded. Life everywhere, loud and patient. Walk you out? Michael asked. Emma nodded. They stepped together down the aisle she had polished, past pews where promises had stalled and started again, past the place where a single wrong name had cracked a fantasy and let the truth climb out. At the doors, the light met them full. The day smelled like city and sun and a chance to begin. Emma looked at him. You'll be okay, she said. He smiled, a real one. I already am. They went separate ways under the same sky. She to a small room with a calendar on the wall and a new application to fill. He to a boardroom where he would choose better and bleed a little and be fine. The cathedral behind them settled, empty and bright, a place washed clean. Sometimes all it takes is one voice no one invited. Sometimes that voice is yours. Final thought for your comments. If you were Emma, underpaid, unseen, holding a truth that could wreck a fortune, would you have spoken at the altar, or stayed silent and kept your job? Why? Extended thinking.